Dude was getting into his car and the cop pulled up and like literally was like holding on to him and then started shooting.
Usually I try to do a little fluff. I try to do a little, thank y'all for coming, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. I'm on a whole different tip tonight.
I want to thank you for another week with What's Up, Roadie? How you doing?
What do you call a curfew when you locking people down for 24 hours? They encourage businesses not to open.
Let's just go ahead and dive right in. Thank y'all for coming in and kicking it with Kirk. Let's go into it.
There was an incident that I had one time that I actually ended up dumping a girl over a racial profiling incident that happened to me.
You just gotta love people, man. We gotta love each other, and it's time to get close with your family.
But didn't you sign up to protect and serve? Didn't you sign up to serve the community, even if that means, unfortunately, you may not make it home? Isn't that what you signed up for as an officer? Or did you sign up for a cushy job with a check where you could terrorize people?
Is what do you say to the people who are peacefully protesting and they're being tear gas, bombed, shot rubber bullets at, and being beaten?
We might have chose this life and whatever, but we also chose one of the only fields that is guaranteed to not stop based on any natural disaster.
How long do we stay quiet and don't say anything? How long do we do this for?
Make a complete stop, you take a left turn, and the cop lights come on.
Every single right, basic human right that Black Americans have gotten in this country, we had to fight for it.
We're on vacation. I decided we wanted to go out to Vegas for the weekend, so that's what we did. And the cop's like, well, your license plate says California. Why are you out here?
Best thing that I've learned, hold on to your family.
Peace and welcome everyone to What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? My name is Noelle Jordan. I am the creator and executive producer for What's Up, Roadie. In my career, I am a live event and touring lighting designer, stage manager, and backline technician. What's Up, Roadie was created as a safe space for the 12 million strong live entertainment and theatrical professionals. This is the place for us to come and talk it out about how this global pandemic has impacted our careers, our lives, and essentially our mental well-being. Whether we're missing the life, missing the stage, or looking for new careers, this is the space where we will talk about it. Today, we're joined by another amazing panel and mental health advocate. Again, I encourage everyone to engage in the live chat here on Protest Party TV. In today's episode, we're talking about international music festivals. Our moderator for today is Lindell James, festival consultant for the Grenada Music Festival and many, many more. Hey, Lindell, how are you doing?
Hey, Noelle, how are you doing? What's up, Roadie?
How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me here, Noelle. And let me say congratulations to you on creating a very wonderful product. I've actually looked at a couple of your episodes, and it's amazing to see that you're actually on episode 8.
Yes, thank you.
Festivals. So congratulations on that. I'm not going to take up too much more time. I'm going to say that thank you for all the listeners out there, those of you who are watching. And let me just let you know, we want to thank those of you on Protest Party TV. You guys are doing such an amazing job in keeping this platform, and thank you for hosting What's Up, Roadie. To the viewers out there, just a quick note that you may be seeing above our video screen some B-roll of protest action happening. Just want you to know it's not going to interrupt our discussion, and we will continue as planned for 1 hour. Today we have a very distinguished guest list. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you all doing? What's up, Roadies? I will do a quick introduction and then we'll get right into it because 60 minutes is not a lot of time. First of all, let me introduce my mentor and the man who's opened many doors for me, Mr. Derek Lewis. He has over 30 years experience in the music business. He's been the former vice president for BET and a Grammy award-winning audio engineer. Derek, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing good. Good to see you, bro.
Okay, great. A gentleman who I am freshly meeting, but I've heard his name, Chauncey Burney, who's a Grammy-nominated audio engineer. He's worked with Chris Brown, Kendrick Lamar, and Beyonce. Really? Chauncey, what's up? You good? Your mic is muted.
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, man, good. And of course, Keith. Keith is a lighting designer, and he's worked with the great Miss Lauren Hill. Keith Bernard, how are you doing?
Doing good. What's up, Roadie?
I'm good, Roadie. And the man who's going to keep us in check and make sure that our wellness is at 100%, David Sampe, our mental health advocate. I don't even know how to introduce you.
I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you guys for having me here. What's up, Roadie?
What's up, Roadie? Okay, so let's get into it. Chauncey, I'm going to throw my first discussion point at you. Obviously, all of us have been affected by the pandemic. It's kind of shut down our calendars. How have you been coping with the shutdown?
In the beginning, it was kind of tough, but I'm doing pretty well now. Kind of got my bearings together, and started.
How long did that take?
Took me maybe about a month and a half, really.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, about a month and a
half.
That's
good. What part of the U.S. are you?
I am currently in Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
But I was, for the majority of the up until August 31st, I was in Northern Virginia. It's about 30 miles west of DC.
Okay, so basically for you, it was just a matter of, things got shut down, and you just kind of like put things together in a month, and back on board.
Yeah, I had 3 tours pending between like mid-March to June, like maybe the first or second week of June. So that, oh man, that was a big blow right there.
I can imagine.
Just regrouped and start mixing some projects for different artists and stuff. So.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, Keith, you probably don't have the luxury as LD to just do some lighting at home, do you? How did you deal with the shutdown?
Yeah, definitely don't have the luxury of that. But what I have been doing is designing. I'm looking for what happens after we get back on the road. I know that I'm thinking that artists are going to have to step their game up. The show is going to be not 100% better, but 150% better, because everybody's going to be competing for that same dollar. So I've been working on designs for the artists in my stable and just trying to create something new and fresh so that when we actually get back on the road, we're ready for it.
So for you, the shutdown was like, how long did it take you to get back, or did you just automatically switch into designing?
Well, we were actually out on tour when the shutdown happened. So I would say the first 2 months, I didn't do anything but stay home with my 10-year-old, my youngest. She was out of school, so it was just me and her all day. And we, continued with her school process, and, we learned to cut money back because, like Chauncey was saying, I was going to be out on tour until July as well. So, things like the lawn care service, things that I, normally pay someone else to do while I'm on the road, went out and bought a lawnmower.
Pick that up. That's good adoption. Derek, how are you doing, man? How were you able to cope with the shutdown and your long calendar? Is Derek frozen? It looks like Derek is frozen. So, well, I could say from me, I mean, Keith and Chauncey, you guys look like you'll just automatically bounce back. I can tell you, literally for me, my first gig since February is going to be on Thursday. No gig, no joke. It's been dried, nothing happening. I mean, I've been doing like Noel, I've done stuff online, but generally my entire calendar was done. So literally it was a financial thing and a mental thing. There were lots of positives with it though. I got to rest. I got to spend time with family a lot more than I used to. Hopefully Derek could get back on. But Dave, how have you been dealing with some of these persons, these roadies who have been, locked down, and it seems that the team we have, they just automatically bounce back without blinking. How that sounds to you?
Yeah, I think that a lot of us have dealt with the pandemic differently.
Yeah.
But when you come across where artists come into effect, you got to realize that every single person at this panel comes from a creative place already, and not realizing that I come from a therapeutic place to where what do I do to kind of, if I feel anxiety or if I feel these certain issues, what do I do to work through that? And most of that is going to something that you truly love. And I don't think that there's a person on this panel who isn't moving with their passions. So when you hear about a group of people who know how to pivot and know how to overcome and know how to bounce back, and also have therapy that's already built into their repertoire, which is their creative space, you find that this sector is very resilient.
Resilient. I was about
in a lot of ways.
That's quite insightful.
But to even go one step further, what is it other than your art are you doing to kind of like find this mindful space? And I'd like to ask everyone that. And before I even ask that question, for myself, you should see, one thing Noel had to always say is turn down the music. I'm a music therapy kind of guy. I wake up to music. I go to sleep to music. I have little hobbies where, I make benches off of spare and excess wood. So my question is like to keep me kind of, always mindful about the things that I'm doing and what I'm working through. So what I'm asking to everybody here is, what kind of things, whether it's your art or something else, are you doing to really combat the issue of just being locked in and through this pandemic?
Yeah, that's a very good question, but I will try and pose it at Derek. Derek, you'll have a twofer. You're the one who always takes up everything, don't you? So you could tell us how you've been dealing with the pandemic. And I like Dave's question in the sense that, what have you been doing outside of that to keep yourself together,
On a serious note, can you hear me?
Yeah.
On a serious note, one of the things that I've been doing is I've been reading my Bible every day, and that helps keep me grounded.
Nice.
I have to keep my trust in God because I've learned not to depend on man for my as my source. So I have a little different approach, and as you know, I send out the word every morning. So for me, I start with my Bible, reading my Bible, and then I've got time to spend with my family because usually I'm gone. I'm always on the road. I'm on a plane or something, but I've got time. I've actually had time to spend with my family, quality time. So it was a little different, and it's great.
That's good. That's good. I can totally resonate with that. Being able to spend time with family, that's been a very big part of the therapy that I've been going through this. I want to go to like the theme of this conversation, which is international festivals. And when we talk about international festivals, what do you guys see as the definition? What makes it international? Anybody want to jump on that first?
All right, I'll take it. First of all, when you say international, to me, it means it's out of the country. I mean, we have done, quote unquote, in the U.S. International Festival, we have international acts, but it's not necessarily an international festival. For me, having produced festivals throughout the Caribbean and different parts of Africa and Europe and stuff like that, it's a whole different vibe for me when I do it, because it's really, in some cases, we're bringing American talent and American music to that country and blending it with theirs. And so we have done a bunch of really cool collaborations on different festivals throughout the world that I've worked on. We've always included the local talent with it and done some really cool stuff. So for me, it's international means it's bringing American awareness to that country and vice versa. If it makes sense, because it's usually done through a partnership with the tourist board or some government entity that's looking to bring that product to their country and drive tourism to it as well.
So it's more of a mesh of cultures, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. Chauncey, what's your take on that?
So I was gonna say pretty much the same thing as Derek. Like it's really about the country that it's in, but also it seems to me whenever we get invited to festivals overseas, it's usually like the larger scale ones that are like the Bonnaroo's, the Coachellas, it's usually the larger ones. So I just feel like when we go over there, it's like a bigger scale compared to some of the ones we may get invited to in the U.S. We do get invited to the larger ones in the U.S., but whenever we go overseas, it's for me, it's just the larger ones. So it's a different like magnitude when you get over there to those.
And your movement around to these festivals is mostly attached to like a band or artist, that kind of thing?
Usually.
As an engineer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Keith, and your experience in international world, what's been the lighting element? Is it like with a production house, and how do you guys define what you call an international festival?
Well, for lighting international festivals, they're tricky. If you're the headliner, you pretty much get everything you ask for. But if you are going on at 4 o'clock in the evening and you're not the headliner, you might be an international artist or an A-level artist, but depending on where you fall on the lineup, you might have to make some adaptations to your lighting system to work with what's available for you. So that's something that I spent a lot of time. Summer of 2019, we spent June through September in Europe doing international festivals. We think we were doing like 3 to 4 a week. So I literally had a desktop computer that I carried around with me so that in the hotel rooms between festivals, I'm working on the lighting rig that I'm going to show up to the next day to try to get some pre-programming time in to help me out and not have to spend there the entire day, trying to program a show.
And your connection with, almost same question as Chauncey, your connection with touring would be attached to like a show or an artist?
It would be completely with an artist, yeah.
An artist, okay. Sounds good. In terms of the change in your calendars, and that might be a personal question. If you want to skip it, that's fine. The financial hit on your calendar, what kind of percentage you talking your losses were? Like for me, it was like 80%. 80% of my calendar is outside of St. Lucia, which is, interesting. I'm from St. Lucia. I'm in the UK right now. It's pretty cool. But most of my income would be in events that were outside of St. Lucia. And that was pretty much zero for 2020. Wow. What kind of effect have you guys had?
I would say 50 for me.
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah, based on my schedule, I would say I was at about 95% of my income was lost from the shutdown of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis.
I would say easily probably about 80% for me, 75 to 80%.
Even I'll chime in. I would say 95% of my income, because I work with groups and everything else and classrooms gone, but we pivot. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Keith and Chauncey, because you guys work with artists, I would imagine you have a different perspective from somebody like myself, who I would work with. Derek would call me up to do a gig with him, and we're pretty much on the production end of things. But you guys deal with a touring artist. How is that mentality and and vibe, as you know, they probably are under pressure also. Any one of you guys could take that.
I would say that for me, it's more of an extended family. You know, we have a WhatsApp group that we talk in. At first, it was sort of like, you know, every day. Now it's about, you know, once or twice a week, you know, wishing somebody a happy birthday or whatever. But it's I call it my tour family. So it's definitely an extended family on the road.
Right.
Same here for me. I've actually been able to go out and work with maybe a third of my artists during the summer. This summer, you know, during the pandemic, doing like home concerts, you know, things like that. So I've been still kind of in touch with pretty much everyone.
Okay.
A couple of the artists have actually included some of the touring employees in their what is that, the PPP loan or whatever?
PP.
Yeah. The bubble.
Yeah, so that was cool for, you know, for a few weeks, and some of the artists been checking on the staff and whatnot. So it's been pretty cool.
That's good. That's good and healthy. Let's switch gears a little bit. Derek, this one is for you. I know the level you've worked at on a number of productions throughout, at least in the region, in the Caribbean, where I'm more familiar with. You get in as a consultant and advise a lot of the governments and festival production entities on, you know, next steps and improvements and stuff. What has been your consultation level with them with the pandemic? What kind of feedback have you been getting from them and stuff like that? Forget the festivals, right? Just forget it.
Well, you know, I mean, at this point, everybody's really focusing on health and well-being and procedures and protocols for their islands. Right. You know, I just spoke to my friend in Anguilla, just checking in on him, and he's like, you know, they still haven't opened up that country. They don't know when. Usually, this is their down period. You know, the tourism starts to pick back up next month, or the end of this month. Really, they start their whole tourism season, and there is no indication of that happening, and they've been shut down since March. So you can't even begin to imagine how much it's impacting people financially and just their livelihood and their well-being, because most of these people depend on tourism and the hotel industry for their businesses. You know, so when that doesn't happen, the government is saying, hey, we're not opening up till we have the right protocol and we know that we have certain procedures in place, and then they're not moving off of that. Some of the other islands, as you well know, have what they call the bubble, which allow people from other islands to travel intra-island, but people from outside, from the US and the UK, it's limited access. So they're hurting. So the last thing they want to talk about right now is a festival, or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So I don't see that coming back online realistically until next year.
Yeah.
Probably this time next year.
That's very true. And up until like last week, Thursday, Trinidad announced that, you know, Carnival 2021 is canceled.
Yeah, that's major.
So, yeah, it's pretty big, because you're looking at an industry that's a multi-million-dollar contributor to the GDP in these countries. So I know for sure in the Caribbean it's a big thing. There's some good stories where, like for instance in St. Lucia, a number of I know production persons who have been involved with the command center. So like they do crowd control. So for instance, when we did the first shutdown, we shut down supermarkets. And when they reopened, people were like bum rushing the supermarkets to get in. So they actually had to use a lot of persons to do crowd control barriers and stuff and plan these things out. So there has been a bit of, you know, transition and getting people to work around their skill set. But yeah, it's been a devastating blow for the region in terms of being able to consider what next in terms of festivals. That being said, though, the levels of COVID in these areas are very low. So it's a bit tricky because when you gauge your plan on an international country, it might not reflect what is really happening in your country, like in a third world country.
Right.
So that's something I just wanted to throw in there. Um, I I have a question here, which is based on the festival experience, and I mean, if you do get outside of your work zone with your artist or the festival itself, but the fear of losing a festival and when it comes back, what do you think will be different um, outside of, what I guess it's not a post-COVID that we know of. We know that we'll get to a point maybe where we'll be living with COVID. So how do you think that changes the festival experience going forward? Say summer next year. What do you think it'll be like?
Is that for me?
Anybody?
I'll let somebody else. Go ahead, Keith.
I think the crowds will definitely change. You know, they're the GA general admitted show, you know, trying to keep spacing to keep capacities down or in check or whatever. It's definitely going to change the way things are done. You know, you won't have the mosh pits anymore, you know, designated standing areas, things like that. You're going to see the crowds not as tight and packed as they used to be in some of the bigger festivals.
Yeah.
I feel like doors are going to have to move up a lot earlier to social distance while trying to get people in at the same time. So that's going to change. Like the production schedules is going to be different. I feel like possibly even a lot of people, a lot of artists and whatnot, sound checking the night before or the day before.
Yeah.
To make sure the day is free and clear to get people in safely. So
the other big challenge is going to be, though, more importantly, and I have to put on my production hat, is that because we won't be able to allow as much people into the venues as we normally would, you're gonna see a change in ticket pricing. You're gonna see a change in artist pricing because we're not going to be able to pay that $250,000 to a particular artist, and we can't recoup that money in terms of ticket sales. So there's going to be a catch-22 in that area. You know what I mean? And people are going to still expect the same level of production value, i.e., so your same sound, your lights, your stage, all the bells and whistles that go with it. That still has to be in place. We can't compromise that, but we will still get into this challenge of we can't fit everybody into the space that where capacity would normally be hypothetically 10,000. Now we could only put 6,000 in there. That's 4,000 worth of tickets that we can't sell. And so that's where we're going to start getting, I can see the challenges that's going to start happening.
Yeah, most definitely budgets are going to be a big thing. But now that you brought up that topic, Derek, the sway or pivot into making the virtual shows more of an impactful thing and more revenue generating. Obviously, with the online aspect of it, you now have, instead of 10,000 people in one venue, you probably have 5 different continents and 20,000 viewers. Have you guys experienced any kind of revenue-driven project that went online? Have you been involved with anything like that? Any one of you?
Yeah, I actually just did the reopening of Milan, and that was like, it was like an online festival from different artists in different countries, and people were like paying to be front row, but it was like a virtual front row. It was interesting.
Wait, front row of your living room?
Yeah, you can see yourself. You can pay and then see your actual like avatar.
Right.
Like it was,
man.
Yeah,
that's a winning.
Like what that's doing in the NBA to me. You paying to see yourself on the in the audience. It's like, dude, you're not even there.
I'm never sorry. I never heard of that. Keith, have you been involved in anything virtual in the downtime?
Actually, there's a rehearsal space. It's here in the DC area that we just spent a good amount of money installing a lighting system there. And we've been doing a bunch of recorded concerts. We actually did a live show on this past Monday, Monday of last week. And it's starting to pick up with people coming in to record, their virtual concerts in the space, whether they're live to tape or multi-cameras and then edited later on. So that is definitely picking up.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's happening, and I think the thing is just how do the artists recuperate their money? Because I know they have the tip bucket where people could just donate to them, but definitely need to get past the donation and we want to pay to see you. We know we can't physically be there, but here's your $20 as opposed to let me give you $2 or $5. It's like a tip bucket. So you need to figure out how to get from that to where it's actually credible finances that people can continue to survive. Because people still want entertainment. They ain't going nowhere. That ain't going anywhere. It's no matter how we present it.
Right.
One of the shows we did was actually a jazz festival. There were 6 artists that performed. We taped them all ahead of time, and then the actual festival aired 2 weeks later. But it was a paid ticket show. So people bought tickets to get access to the show.
Right.
Nice. In terms of the virtual revenue-driven projects, have you guys experienced anything related to sponsors getting involved, or has it always been just directly through the audience and customers? I'm asking that because the viability of these events, it's almost in question now, where the platforms are now hitting back. It's like you can't win. I think October 1st, I haven't seen the results of it, but October 1st, Facebook has now put in some new rules to prevent music from being streamed, and they put some kind of restrictions on that. So have you guys been involved with any kind of other revenue streams for these virtual events apart from just the audience paying for it?
Well, 2 weeks ago, I just did it's not really virtual, but it was a drive-in concert. It was sponsored by Audi, and all of the vehicles that the concert goers were sitting in were Audi SUVs. So they would park their vehicles like offsite, and then walk over, and then they would go into the vehicle based off their ticket, and then you're watching the concert from a vehicle provided by the sponsor. Yeah, and the only thing is the first 6 rows. So they scaled down like quite a bit as far as audio is concerned. The PA could only hit like the first 6 rows.
Oh, okay.
After that, I mean, it kind of drifted over into the 7th, 8th, and 9th. But then after that, as you get further and further back, you had to tune in on the local radio station, and hear the concert like that.
Okay.
All right, so you guys are transmitting it.
Yeah, transmitting it. Yeah.
There's a frequency, and they just tune into that frequency in the vehicle.
And it was here's a crazy thing. I actually had to mix front of house from Monitor World because they didn't want 2 consoles. I'm like, dude, this can't be life. Like, we can't move forward.
I guess a lot of that is going to happen in terms of the scale back.
What are you gonna do? You can't do this. So the only person at front of the house was the lighting and video designer.
Which to me that doesn't make sense. They could have done video and audio, no disrespect, but they could have certainly done lighting from the side.
Yeah.
Because once you said it, you can see the stage, but to hear it, it's a whole different story.
Are we going to start an audio lighting war?
What's
the Roadie?
Hey, I can do lighting from my desk right here, so it doesn't matter where.
There you go. In terms, I want to have you jump in here, David. in terms of mental tools, what can we use collectively? I see that question there, and I'm not sure how these things work in terms of fixing yourself, that wellness aspect. What do you suggest?
I'm glad you asked, Lindell. I think what we don't realize often is how easy it is for us to self-heal and to use the tools that we already have. And my thing as a breathwork coach is just making you realize the power of your own breath. And we talked about this last week, that a lot of anxiety itself comes from projecting into the future. Yeah. And depression comes from dwelling in the past. But once we take a breath and once we acknowledge the breath has a certain thing that makes you omnipresent to the moment. And that by just acknowledging that breath, saying, how many times in a day do we actually acknowledge that we're breathing? It's this automatic thing that God just dropped in there that we don't even have to think about. Right. But the duality of just actually thinking about that puts you immediately closer to the maker, him or herself, right? So for myself, I have breathwork techniques that I use them so often that I don't even, it's automatic. And all of it comes from just acknowledging the now moment, just taking in a deep breath of acknowledgement. What I do is I take in a breath for about 4 seconds, a deep breath, hold it for 4 seconds, and then give a long release. Repeat the cycle. Do about 10 sets of that, 10 breaths. Right. And whatever mood that you were just experiencing, no matter if you're in a panic, no matter where you are, it brings you right back. And I think what's surprising is how easy and simple it is. I get phone calls daily of people saying, I just got one today. A friend of mine says, I was in MRI in one of those chambers. And she's like, David, you know me. My nerves go through the roof. I don't like to be in tight compartments. She said, I acknowledged the breath. And as soon as I acknowledged it and started the repetition patterns, she said 40 minutes or whatever went by and they were pulling me out, and it startled me because I'd left.
Yeah.
And she said she's calling to thank me for that. And that's something that I'd like to give to you guys and for you to pass that good news forward by just acknowledging the breath. Give it 10 sets, 10 sets, 10 repetitions, and see where it takes you when you come out of that, because it's impossible. Experience the now. So that's what I have.
Thanks, David. Thanks for that. And
no worries.
And in the true spirit of passing something on, and that's something I learned from my mentor here, Derek Lewis, in terms of passing on knowledge to younger persons. I want to bring up the topic of, what's in the future for young festival goers, and what do you think that they would be missing out of on what we've been able to experience if it never goes back to that, and what will change in terms of the international music experience and from festival standpoints. How do you see young persons being able to, what they lose, what do they gain? And when I say young, I don't mean age particularly. I mean just being initiated into international festival experiences.
Well, I'll jump in here. Let me say this. First of all, you can't miss what you never had. And some of them will never know what it was other than what they see on YouTube or any of these other places. And that's the reality. That was then, this is now. And like David was just saying, you either living in the past, or you dealing with the present, or you dealing with the future. I do the now moment, and I deal with now. When tomorrow comes, I'm gonna deal with tomorrow, because anything other than that, I really don't have any control over it. So for these young people that will be coming out to festivals, again, as you well know, it's all about the experience. So it doesn't matter when they come out and we produce an event for them. The experience is it's that now experience, not what it was 10 years ago. Because what we did 10 years ago, we don't do now. You know what I'm saying? In festivals and the designs and the layouts, how I've done them from 10 years ago is completely different. So it's not a matter of what they're going to miss. It's what we have, what we as creatively, what can we give them that's going to be the next wow factor for this new protocol or procedures or guidelines, however they want to set it. And it's going to be different internationally than what it's going to be in the US, because it's two different set of standards that we work by. So
very well said. Anybody else? Got nothing for the
kids? I think that festivals like Glastonbury and those other festivals where they have huge campouts.
Yeah.
Those are a thing of the past now. I don't think you'll see miles and miles of tents on the side of a hill anymore at a festival.
Yep.
The experience of meeting people from other countries, I think it's going to dwindle because of that. The camp out camaraderie.
Yeah. I think I agree. I agree with you, Chauncey, on that one. I think the element of going to a fete alone and coming back, meeting a bunch of people, a bunch of new people. Like in the carnival experience, you're probably going through 2 weeks of fetting, two fetes a night, and by the time the festival is done, you have 15 new friends.
Yeah.
Now it seems that you probably have to go to a party with your bubble, and you leave with your bubble, and that's it. So I think that aspect of it is probably something we may lose out on in the near future. Yeah. I wanted to touch on your experiences and comparisons when you travel. I guess it would be different for somebody like Derek, who actually produces, entire festivals, as opposed to if you part of a production team for a touring band. But I would imagine you'd still be exposed to these differences when you get a chance to move around. What has been your level of comparison, saying, well, when I did a festival in Africa, compared to if I did a festival in Europe or the US, what has been the main things or one thing that you think struck you as being super different? Keith?
I was trying to think of a way to answer that. I think country to country is a better way, because I've had some great times in Europe and I've had some horrible times in Europe. I think I've been to all but one continent so far. And there's always, first of all, technology, the level of equipment that you find in some of these countries. I've done huge gigs in Nigeria where we had 200 lights on load in, but by showtime, we only had 75 that were still working. But I've also had, similar things happen to me in Germany, where, you get told, oh, we've got this, we've got this, we've got that on your rider, and then you show up and it's some Chinese knockoff. So I think you get the good and the bad anywhere you go in the country, and it's more about the human relationships. How does the local crew treat you as a touring guy, and how do you treat them? That really makes a difference in the show.
Totally agree. Chauncey, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same about that. I've had good and bad experiences in almost every country I've been in. But it's just how you gonna like I never like to, you know, sit and dwell on it. I try to figure out a way how we're gonna get past it so that we can get the show on the road, you know. You'd be surprised how many people don't think like that. So I try to operate like that, you know, in every situation. But I've now I'm gonna save that for another time. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Derek, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. So you know, I am both ends of it. So there are times when I'm on tour, so I'm out with like Patty Austin or somebody like that, and I'm doing festivals. And yeah, so we do get that situation. For example, you go to like the Philippines or something, when you're on the phone with them, oh yeah, we have all this stuff, and I get there and it's like a disaster. And then I got to figure out how to fix it all and make it happen because the artist is still expecting a certain level and a quality of production. And so I got to turn around and figure out how to get it all done and, you know, threaten some people to make things happen. And then on the other side of it, I'm the guy that's a producer that I got to talk to Chauncey, I got to talk to Keith and advance the gig and say, hey, yeah, I got your rider. No, I don't have this. This is what I have. We're sharing this. We're not sharing that. I got all your backline, you know. So it's usually for me, and because I live on both sides of the fence, I'm always mindful from with production, always make sure that my deliverables are there and I do what I deliver on what I tell people is going to be there. If it's not, I'm always straight up with them. No, hey, this is where we are. We're in India. They don't have this. They have that. Can we work with that? And you always give people as much information as possible for them to make an educated decision. I don't want them walking into like, dang, man, you didn't tell me this. Why didn't you tell me? So I've been there. So I'm always mindful of the production guys, the audio guys, the lighting guys. When they come in, I want to make sure that their stuff is right for them. So that's the pros for me, that when I'm on the producer side, I got to get it right. When I'm just a touring cat, I got to be as thorough as I can and hope that they're telling me the truth, because not all of them do.
Right.
You know, unfortunately.
I want to pick up on what Keith said, the human aspect of it, because I think in my little experience that part is quite rewarding when it's done right. You build a family, you build a network that can be pretty strong. For me, it's been that aspect has been pretty positive. Most of the gigs I've worked at, I've built friendships, and they still last, you know, up to days like today. How has that experience been touring for you? Meeting persons and developing relationships, and maybe even if it was something annual that you actually got back to them and that kind of thing. How's that been?
That's for Derek?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, for one, I have developed great relationships, you know, with different people all over the world, and relationships such that you could pick up the phone and go, hey, I need something here, or I'm coming, or I have another group coming. Can you make sure and look out for them? And also one of the things as I do, you well know, is I'm always scouting for talent. So with my festival, I'm always scouting for the next cool patch master, the next cool front of house cat that I can put in case one of my guys can't do it. So I'm always building a list and a backup list of guys for my team. And that's, you know, so I'm always on the scout, and I'm always developing relationships, because you never know. Yeah. So for me, it's been a great experience, and I've been doing it 30 plus years, and I still have friends that, you know, that I've been on the road with from 1985 kind of thing. So we still in touch, you know.
Good stuff. Chauncey, what about you? You develop any of these long-term, long-distance?
Oh yes, most definitely. Actually, one of my first large events ever was Carnival in London.
Notting Hill?
Huh?
Notting Hill Carnival?
Yeah. Nice. And I'm still cool with the people who were the guides for that. Like, I still talk to them, you know, to this day. That's my whole career has been about that, you know. Every gig that I've have been on has spawned from another previous gig, and the relationships that I've built, you know, on those gigs. So.
Okay. Keith, what about you?
My theory is I might be a button pusher today, but tomorrow I might be a box pusher. So I want to treat the local guys the way I want to be treated when it's their turn to come to my city and I'm working as a local. You know, 30 years, I've done all types of lighting, from movies, music videos, to TV, to concerts. So I've worked with crews and I know how to work with crews. I always want to make sure that at the end of the day, I got my job done, but I also want to make sure that, you know, I treated everyone fairly. You know, right now, my L2 lives in the Philippines. And, you know, when I'm on tour, he flies in pretty much at his own dime, just because, you know, production is not going to cover his expense to fly from the Philippines to come do a show with me. But, you know, that's just a relationship that he and I have. We've traveled around the world together several times, and, you know, I treat him like a brother. So.
Right. Excellent, excellent. David, you wanna jump in there on relationships and, you know, how that kind of brotherhood and network builds, and that mentality, and how it gets us through these times?
Yeah, I think that's the key reason to why everyone is going through any suffrage, is because that what everybody's really saying is we're lacking those relationships that we once had. We were lacking that interconnectivity that we always had. This is why the concerts that are going that are gone and may never come back, that's why they hurt so much, because there was a place that we could all go, that we all felt as one, you know. And yeah, to speak on that, that's the most important part of it all. And you know, we don't want to live in these bubbles, but they've been forced on us. And yeah, I can't wait till things get back to normal. But if they never get back to normal, we have to just keep coming back to our own interconnectivity with one another. And that's always through mindfulness. That's always through the breath. That's always through reading the scriptures Derek does in the morning. That, you know, to bring us back, you know, at least to our roots.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say with that, because with the touring, it's something that's not familiar to me, but I do understand the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the camaraderie. That's the reason why we all live, is for this connectivity, this family that we build in between each other. So to that.
Yeah, it's a very real thing, and I could testify to it. Um, it's a real family you have when you're on the road, and you meet these guys, and you know, you might be there for 3 days, and the next time you see them is next year for the next 3 days, and it clicks one time.
That's how you know. That's how you always know that family is real. Is when you can step away from somebody, doesn't matter, and you pick up right where you left off, and that's when you know you have a real connection. Everything else, yeah.
Thanks for that, guys. Let's do some final thoughts. Chauncey, you want to do a little quick wrap up so we could get back to studio?
What are we wrapping up?
Well, you could talk about what you think is going to happen the next 6 months, kind of thing. What's your view on what the next steps are for you?
Well, I'm looking forward to everything getting back to normal. You know, as David was saying, I hope sooner than later. You know, but if it doesn't, we're still gonna be all right. We're gonna find a way, like we always do. I've got a few projects coming up.
Right.
I'm actually filming a Tiny Desk in a couple weeks. And then a few virtual pride shows. One of my clients is an LGBTQ artist, so you know they finishing up the the Pride festival season or whatever. So they've been doing that virtually, and some HBO things, and
you got some things lined up.
Yeah.
So you're good. All right, Roadie. Keith, you want to do a quick wrap up?
I just want to say that it's been rough, but programs like this and just reaching out to your road family every once in a while just to say hey has gotten me through it personally, and I know a lot of the members of my touring family as well. So I'm glad to be a part of this, and I say I can't wait to get back on the road, but I'm actually liking being at home too. So
Derek.
Hey man, everybody just stay positive. This too shall pass. It shall. It will. And I have to keep the positive spin on everything in life for me, because that's how I process things. So I want to just encourage people to just be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. Keep your mind renewed. Keep your mind fresh. You can't think about tomorrow because you can't do nothing about tomorrow. And yesterday is gone.
Yep.
Now is it. Much love.
Thanks for that, Derek. David, I guess you did your wrap up a while ago. I will say that thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Protest Party, for hosting us. Thank you, Noel, for putting this wonderful piece of work together online called What's Up, Roadie? How are you doing? We want to conclude, and I get Noel. You could do the wrap up. Thank you. I'm Lindale James. I've been honored to be here with you guys.
Thank you, Lindale.
Thank you guys so much, Lindale, Keith, Chauncey, Dave, and Derek. I want to thank you again for your time and your insight here on What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? As well as all of you for watching. I encourage you guys to be back here next week, next Tuesday, same time, where we will conclude this season with our final episode, episode 9, Dance and Regional Theater, only here on Protest Party TV. Thank you again. Peace.
Give her another round of applause. Get some water. Make sure y'all get water. What the next one? We appreciate y'all airlines too. We thank y'all for being out here supporting us. We thank y'all airlines. Y'all like airlines, we love y'all. And we want y'all, we gonna stand up when y'all do. We will die for y'all. I mean that. Everybody is the same behavior. We didn't everybody has and that's what we're gonna do. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. You can't stop the revolution. LNPD is not the solution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution.
Good evening and welcome back to Ask Dr. Renee. First of all, please everyone, make sure that you are following protestparty.tv, the website, and then make sure you follow them on social, on Twitch, on Instagram, Protest Party TV, and of course on Facebook and Twitter. So, you guys, this is a live show in case you didn't know. And today really tells you how live it is because I really had all these great things I wanted to talk about, but then life happened. So, for the real quick and dirty, if you didn't know, I am temporarily, for an extended period of time, away from my home helping my family. And we've had slight emergency that happened right before we were going live. So I said I will still go live to the wonderful producers and owners of this lovely platform. I told them I would still go live, but I would tell you guys what happened. And I am sorry, but I have to go and fix this emergency, of course. So but I did want to talk about 45 getting coronavirus. But you know what? Next week will be even better because we will see, because 10 days is about how long we have to see for him to either get a lot better or to get worse, unfortunately. So I think next week will be even better because we'll know then what is going on. And you can follow me on social because I probably will post something about it. And then last week, of course, was the presidential debate, the first one. This week is the first vice presidential debate. So we'll have a lot to talk about next week because it's going to be very interesting. And you guys do know I don't do politics, but there is one pressing matter that is coming up in these politics, and it is our health. And 45 mentioned in a tweet, I believe 2 days ago. No, maybe it was yesterday. He said COVID's not a big deal. And then today he tweeted and said that it wasn't as bad. It wasn't, the flu's, it's just about the same as the flu. These things are untrue. Please don't believe this. COVID is horrible. COVID just took the life of someone else I knew through 6 degrees of separation just this past weekend. So, and I know that you probably, if you don't know directly, you know indirectly someone that you've lost due to COVID. 200 some thousand people, and all the people that those people are connected to tell you that COVID is a big deal. And anyone who watched him last night when he got back from the hospital, anybody with 2 eyes, including one of my favorite artists, Stevie Wonder, could see he had trouble breathing. So I think that I will continue to pray that, it doesn't hit him as hard as it has hit others, people I know that are in good health, because he's not one of those people, but people I know who are in good health and have no comorbidities got hit really bad. And I'm talking about diagnosed back in March, and today is October, and they're still feeling the effects. So I hope it doesn't happen to him like that because I don't wish pain on anyone. But I just find it really questionable that the person who said this is all a hoax all of a sudden comes down with it and basically about knocks out half of the White House, staff. So we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. Thank you guys. Pray for us. And I'm going to go deal with this emergency. Just know that life is great. It's great to have family. Wonderful to have friends, and appreciate every day. And please take care of your health. Please take care of your health. If you learn nothing from this, ask Dr. Renee, please take care of your health. I try to bring you good information, mental, physical, and spiritual. All of that health needs to be taken care of. So please be good to yourself, be good to others, and don't forget to live the life you deserve, because this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the only one we have. So let's do the best while we're here, and let's set it up so that our generations to come will speak wonderfully about us, right? So I will see you guys again next week. Thank you so much. And you can follow me on all platforms, of course, at Ask Dr. Renee. You can actually see past episodes of this show here soon and very soon, probably by the end of the week. They're all uploaded. They just need to be released. But thank you so much to the team, because I am so sorry that I have to go, but I really have to go. Secondly, please watch the next show. Kicking It with Kirk is why I'm here. Thank you, Jonathan Kirkland and his beautiful wife. Thank you to my fellow Sparties, they're Sparties. And please, you guys watch that show, Kicking It with Kirk. He's been doing this way longer than I, and he's doing an amazing job. He has a great show, and he's going to talk about some of the things I was going to talk about today. So please watch it, because he is amazing and hilarious, and he gets down to business, and we actually agree on most things. So watch him this evening. and continue to support Protest Party TV. Thank you. Good night.
That's Tara Bassett right here. Hi, Tara. Pretty good. I'm okay. Holding up. Happy to be on a march day, that's for sure. Oh, it's simply that, you know, one lane of traffic has to be open, apparently, is what I've been told and experienced. There it is. LMPD seem to have left the crowd. I don't know what they're going to do next, but I noticed a couple of LMPD vehicles stationed, perhaps watching. I don't know. What do I mean, perhaps? Of course they're watching, but...
Look at all the traffic, all right?